going back to like the 3Deemers stuff and the podcast stuff, I can just kind of expand on that. So when I started doing it, Justin was not to shit on you, but Justin was the first person I wanted to work with. He's apprehensive about working people, I guess he just doesn't have a lot of familiarity with. So when he started his podcast like 5 years ago, I was trying to get in on it and work with him, but he already had like a set group of people. I went through like a lot of people, but nothing ever felt right. And then when the pandemic happened, it was like, I've got to start doing something, anything. And that's why I reached out to you. It wasn't because you were a last choice, but it was rather that I had rekindled talking to you.
Yeah, we reconnected during the pandemic, yeah.
And then I was like, let's try this and see where this one goes. And there was a lot of bumps in the road at first. It wasn't going the way I wanted it to go. It wasn't the flow that I needed. And so we made adjustments, and then we started kind of finding our place. And when we started finding our place with the themes and the month, we tried really hard to find hosts who were more grounded in reality, but also had knowledge. We were doing a good job. We were getting places with that. It was a lot of work. And with the scheduling that we were on and the fact that we were covering remakes, if the film's remake had more than one, then that's 3 to potentially 5 films you're watching. What that ends up doing is
takes the wind out of the sails.
It burns you out. We did that for over 2 years. It was almost 3 years. And with how that viewing experience goes, I didn't have time for other things. It wasn't okay when I started working and I started going to therapy twice a week and going to my group therapy for my trans meetings and my, electrolysis sessions.
Yeah. I mean, you're literally going through a lot of transitioning right now in life. It's hard to find that time.
It's like all I do is watch a movie, work, deal with myself, and then edit. With how much editing was involved and how much time consumption was involved, I completely understand YouTube burnout. I understand all those influencer burnouts, things like that. Like, to have this go and also have to work another job and all that kind of stuff, like, you really do need to monetize to be able to make this like functional and fruitile. So you started working and got your promotion, and that made it harder on me because I had to up my ante because you did a lot of the legwork. Where it all started kind of like falling apart was just like when it started becoming too much for me alone to do, because I didn't have help from other sources.
So it's not easy. It's not easy at all to do this that we enjoy doing. It's really tough, is what you're saying. It's a lot of time consumption. There is finances if you have finances. I think we were smart enough to find a way to go about it, to do what we could without any type of financial aid, but there were some benefits here and there that we tried to work for. But
there were always expenses. I mean, we had to buy equipment.
We did have to buy equipment. We invested our own money. I don't think we made any money.
No, we made $13 total. I checked the Anchor today. So
there you go.
In that time period, we made $13. What do you think is the reason that the podcast stopped after a certain period of time?
Well, it does come down to your own personal availability to be able to do it. I think we're both passionate and we were both driven to do the project. It's not easy what we try and do. Specifically for this, we're talking about podcasting and time. It takes a lot of your time. We did our best to present it professionally, and you have to do a lot of that work. And then, of course, our lives outside of the podcast, we're getting busy. It takes a lot of planning.
The thing with it on my end is that once it fell into my hands by myself, and I started looking at the help that I had that was around me, and the people that were willing and the people that weren't willing. The people that were willing were there, but needed a lot from me. And I did not have the mental energy or time to find that to give them. And then the other one would offer support, but then not provide the support that they said they would offer. And when I looked at everything with you gone for the moment, and me looking at having to take on as much as I would to keep it going and sustain it, was going to push me into a spot where I knew I was headed for burnout. And so I think the best option that I could think of at that moment, because it was like, I don't want to stop podcasting. This has become very important to me. And this is something that I've needed to do for years. And it's something that I needed to talk about and get out there, was the discussions of film, because I'm tired of having these discussions and not. So it's like I had a medium and it was like, just go listen to this and you can hear my fucking opinions and I don't have to sit and tell you for hours, all this kind of stuff. Like, it was really important to me, and my knowledge is really good. And so it's something that I just want to keep talking about. But I was like, what do I do in this situation? And I was like, I can keep moving forward and stressing myself out and overworking myself and having literally no time, or I can talk to Justin and see if he'll let me co-host on his show. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, no question. It wasn't even a debate. And so it was like I said, it was bittersweet because it was like I full circled through this like treacherous kind of path of like starting on my own and building to working to something and building something with you. And then it just kind of like halts immediately. But then I get to go work with the person who, after all of this, was someone who I wanted to work with for like 5 years. And now I'm on their show and I'm like, I think we have some work to do.
And it's funny that you say it like that, because in all honesty, that's how it happens sometimes within the entertainment business, within just the independent artistry that we try and perform. It works like that sometimes. You're hot and you're cold.
I don't know if I would have the ability to tell him what I think he needs to fix and doesn't need to fix without doing this on our own, like with us.